अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्
रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभम् कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं।
A patient, there was a plan of action that he would write down. Every time when I met him the last couple of weeks, met Sudha, I would be crying. And Sudha would say, "Why are you crying, Sanjay?" That was what it was. I miss this man dearly. And as we do all, and that's why we are here, gathered today, may I request all of us to stand for 1 minute silence. 10th year, I mean, of course I've seen some consultants pass away. And with each person, now it's starting to affect me more. And some of you may not know, you may think that Dr. Ashok and I hardly interacted. So what's the connection? Actually, we had a stronger connection which probably no one knows. That he and I, by the way, share the same date of birth. So he, 8-9 years ago, he forced me to start a certain hobby. And he said, "This is how you should do it." He ensured that I got the card made. So he was quite enthusiastic and persistent in doing that. So we were connected, and he had his firm views about how to do things. So anyway, that was a personal connection. So I want to tell you that our chairman, Mr. Hinduja, was not able to come. So he's sent a message which I shall read out. And also Usha ji is stuck in the traffic, so she'll be joining us shortly. So this is to you, dear Sudha ji. We are deeply saddened to know about Ashok ji's passing away. Our deepest condolence to you, Neeta, Smita, and all other members of the family. With the grace of the Divine, he has overcome the bondage of material life and peacefully crossed over to the eternal board. Although in his passing away, he has disappeared bodily, his guiding thoughts and spirits are still alive. My brother Gopi, Prakash, along with Usha and the entire parivar of PT Hinduja Hospital and Medical Research Center, join me in offering our consolation to you in the immortal words of wisdom from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's Sanskrit written in English, so it's difficult for me to read, but let me try. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam namushuchitam arhasi. Means the soul is imperceptible, inconceivable and unchanging. Knowing this eternal nature of the soul, one should not grieve over the destruction of the body. We share your grief and join you in prayers for the eternal peace of his soul. Please remember that you have an extended family in us and we are always there to stand by and support you. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. With regards, Ashok Hinduja. So I would just like to say that Dr. Ashok was with us for decades. He's a part of us. If there's anything we can do, we'll be happy to. And we just pray that his soul is blessed and all of you are blessed and have the courage to handle his loss. Thank you.
More than 30 years. And two things I want to say. You know, Sudha told me the other day, crying, of course, that one wicket is fallen. And when I look back, first 3 wickets were Ja, Jai Ja, most of you don't know, PP of course, myself. And later on, after Ajay left us and went to Delhi, seamlessly PK came into that. And frankly, I think one of us is gone. But let's remember the happy times. It was a great trip. When I joined, I remember one incident. I was fresh from the US, had a patient, hooked him up for some, followed me for some time. And then he disappeared. Very common. India mein sab to hota hi hai. So I was a little upset. I said, "Dekho yaar, Ashok, nobody gives a damn." He's saying, "It's so practical." I mean, तेरा पेशेंट नहीं था, तेरा पेशेंट था when he was in the room. एक बार पेशेंट बाहर गया, he is the worst patient. And that is important lesson I learned very early in my career. So she was so practical, very skilled clinician, very skilled, and very to the point of being, blunt in the sense, but you would not ever, we had different neurologists. We had Surab, who was always, he was always to the point. If I asked him, "Ye karna hai, what do you think I should do? Why are you doing it?" Absolutely correct. And even that he said in the last few days. He had a problem with his radiation, he had some edema, headache and all that. And he was admitted. And I think somebody advised a CT scan or MRI or something. See, when I went to see him, he said, "What is the point? There is no point in doing all this. Pata to hai kya hai? And all these things are going to happen. Steroid le raha hu, theek hai." That was Ashok. Practical and to the point always. Very skilled. The other thing was, you think he was just like this, but we had a great time when we were close-knit family much more than now. The Hinduja family, I met. There were lesser consultants and all. There was a lot of economy between us. And we used to have these parties. And I must tell you one small incident. So that was not there, Chirmut. Wild means Ashok very organized, fit, going on, exercise and this and that. But one weakness was there. Maja mein bahut aata tha. So we used to have these parties, and we had a lot of parties in the beginning. Now, of course, nobody has time to meet, but that time we had a lot of parties. Ja, myself, and later Mishra, PP, and one of the times, drink a little bit. Sudha was not there, so thoda zyada drink kiya. And the next morning, Shesh, I don't know how I reached home. I said, "You must have driven home, no?" This was the time before we were very sensitive about driving under the influence. But he told me that. So I said, "Kya hua? How did you get in?" He said, "I went there and I don't know. Next thing I remember is, I don't remember the driving, I don't remember. The thing I remember, I got up in the morning, the bell rang. The bell rang, his neighbor said, "Ashok, aapki keys, he asked for the keys, we gave you the keys, and then you got in." He asked the neighbor. So it was really fun. Anyway, I think, all of us are going to miss him. I think miss the morning conversations. His clinic was next to mine. We used to chat.
Always would meet in the 6th floor dining hall when all these lovely special food used to be made for us. And we used to have a lot of fun. So it never felt that he was a co-consultant. Anytime my whole family went to him, everybody misses him. When I told them, everybody said, "Please convey our regards." They were all his patients, all my friends, all my family. But to me, he was primarily my friend. Every 8 o'clock in the morning, he was here sharp. Many times we were parking our cars together, saying hello. The last time also, Sudha was there, we took a picture with Dr. Kashe, Dr. Navneet Kumar right in this building. So those were the happy times. I know he was a skilled clinician. Everything about him is fantastic. But to me, he was the greatest friend. Always there for us. If you needed any help, you just be patient. Of course, pay the money. Like it was never, I have never heard no from him. I've never heard non-smiling anything, him getting angry. Every morning, how are you? Fantastic, great. He'd get into the patient lift, I would go back and go ahead to the OT. So those are those beautiful memories. Entire department, Pramila is not here, but she had a very close connection with him. All my department had a close connection with him. So on behalf of my department, on behalf of my family, on behalf of myself, Sudha, you know they're always there. We've had lovely times.
I think these moments are possibly the most difficult moments. You don't know what to say, but as Rajesh said, and Manju said, let's remember our association with Ashok in happier times. I remember we virtually joined the hospital together some 35 years back. Ashok had come a few months earlier than me. And we had this non-neurological group. There was one neurological group which Rajesh is talking about. We had this non-neurological group where Ajay, Urvashi, Ashok, ourselves, these young ladies and our young children, you know, the amount of fun we used to have those days. We had time, we didn't have much money in our pocket, but we enjoyed more than when we had more money in our pocket. That shows that happiness and the camaraderie which we all share doesn't require money. Unfortunately, as life progressed, children started growing up, less and less time was spent together. But I never miss the conversations I used to have Ashok on the bridge. Very often I'm coming back from the theatre, he's finishing in clinic. Very often from the clinic, nearly 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I knew his routine. I said, Ashok, when you see one person, his poor fellows come from Ulhasnagar or somewhere, he has to name. Send him man. I have to go. So I said, he never refused. He used to see, he was precise, three lines he used to write. Alright, observation, any investigations, he rarely asked for too many investigations and maybe one drug. Very often when we used to meet on the bridge, it was not medical talks. He used to ask me about how the share market is. He used to ask me, how do you think it's going to think? I said, listen, I'm a mutual fund person, I'm not a share market fellow, but I can see the trend and tell you what it is. Then we shared the achievements of our children. As things went, I still remember all the parties we used to have, and those days, as Rajesh said, we did have a lot of parties. And Ashok, after the party next morning, also didn't know where he was. So that just shows, as we grew up, the children grew up, and then that emptiness syndrome starts coming, which I think most of us are experiencing and feeling. But that's the way of life. Ashok was younger than me, few years younger than me, and the last conversation I had with him was when I went to UK and when he was going through his radiotherapy. And he asked me, Amitabh, why does it have to happen to me always? And I said, see, there is no answer for this. But you've been brave, you've gone through one episode, you've gone through 2 COVID episodes, and I'm sure you'll get through this. Then Ajay, I think, spoke to him. And that next day, his tone was very different. He was positive. And the last conversation I had with him was, that I want to do something extra in life for others. I have got everything materially. I want to help out others. I want to do something else. But as we say, man proposes, God disposes. I think this is a cycle which we all have to go through together, sooner or later. I wish Sudha, the children and the rest of the family that we are always there to support you in any way. Hinduja family and the uniqueness of this hospital has been the close bonding we all have had. All of us who have been here for 35, 36 years, obviously, but even the ones who have joined us recently have known the difference between what other hospitals have to offer versus this. And I hope we maintain this culture and tradition. Thank you.
So as well as the department, I joined here in 2002, and then Charul joined a little while later, and then just now Megha has joined also. And it was wonderful working with him. He was, I hesitate to call him a boss because he was not. He was a friend and a senior colleague. But he made sure that all of us were on board with whatever happened in the department, that there was consensus. And he never ever shirked any unpleasant decisions or anything that needed to be sorted out. He would take it and he would sort it out and take us on board, but sort it out. And we really had a very, very comfortable equation. So to say the least that I'll miss him is the least I can say. I had a pretty long conversation with him about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm not sure even if Sudha knows that. He spoke for quite a long while. He actually ended up by saying that you've been a good colleague, I will miss you. And literally for Ashok to say something in the month, he said, I will. And he said it again, I will really miss you. And I wondered, I said, his illness is not that bad. You're very coherent. I thought to myself that, well, I'm going to meet him for a drink sooner or later and we can discuss all of this later. I don't know, maybe in some ways that was his way of saying goodbye. Because that was the last I spoke to him.
I've known Vicky since 1994 when he treated my grandmother, and at that time I was in KE and doing my MD. Ever since then, he's treated probably 100 plus family members and colleagues and their relatives. Last being my sister, who passed away a few years back, who was under PP for almost 15 years. Needless to say, as Milind mentioned, when I joined here in 2003, one of the things that is told to you is that meet the key people in the hospital and try and establish a relationship so that your practice picks up. And I bumped into PP, is obviously much more senior to me, but the way he came across, giving me some practical tips, and I remember the days when I used to run that car, and his timing and my timing at car was almost the same, and 8 years in a row, I think practically we used to round in car at the same time. And some of those days, I would just bump into the car. Obviously, his car was driven by the chauffeur, and my car would follow. And we would come from car to mine, sharing views about cricket, life, so many things. He was very passionate about the game, and I remember one of the days when, I think it was 2017, when I was actually in UK watching an India-Pakistan game, and then the same day evening after India won very well, PP called me on my cell phone, and he was discussing all the things about cricket, and both of us were very, very passionate about the game and remained to be connected. I remember even in 2011 when we had a new house in Juhu, and PP and Sudha had come over for the housewarming. And after exchanging some notes, and then we went down for lunch together, and he saw the elaborate menu, and this is just to try and tell you some things about which are very, very positive about PP. So there was a South Indian caterer who was making dosas, and I was offering him, kindly have the dosa. So he's telling me that, क्या तुम South Indian को dosa खाने को सिखा रहा है? Of course I will have the dosas, and he had probably half a dozen dosas that day, and he really liked that. And he actually took the number of the caterer and said, तुम लोग गुज्जू भाई का ये सब फंक्शन में क्यों जाते हैं? हम लोग का साउथ इंडियन का फंक्शन में भी आप डोसा और छपना. There are so many things that, obviously this is not the occasion to talk about, but the COVID times was, I think, the most difficult for him. He knew that I and Balki used to use a lot of rituximab, and after he got the lymphoma and he was on rituximab, every now and then he would keep calling us. He would call Balki sometimes, he would call me sometimes, and keep talking about that. Will I be able to handle the COVID and this and that? And I actually, one of the days on rounds on COVID wards, met him when he was admitted. He was a little disturbed during these times, but he was a fighter to the core, and we knew that he was going to bounce back every time he was put down by any medical disease. He will live long in our hearts, and I will always remember him as a fond, I wouldn't say mentor, but a senior colleague and friend, and surely his memories will remain with us forever. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Megha. For all of you who don't know me, still remember the day when Ashok sir called me. I was new to Mumbai. I had come back from US. I done my neuromuscular fellowship, and so he was so informal. I felt like I'm talking to this person who I know for ages. And that time he was highly known by his patients. He was highly appreciated, and that goes a long way. Talking about what he did for his patients and everybody, and I was not used to this. When I spoke to him and I said, "Sir, can I come and meet you? I'll meet everybody in the department." And he said, "No, don't worry, Megha, it was all okay. We want to take you, and you wanted to be a part of our department." And now I'm realizing this is, even though I'm here for a year, I know what he's gone through, and it's a big Hinduja family, and I'm glad I'm here with him. I got to be with him. I got to be with the Hinduja family for a year, even if it's a short time I have with him. He's a great mentor. I lost my mom almost 10 years ago when I joined the department. "How old are you, Megha?" That's the first thing he said, and he's like, "Oh, you're like my daughter." I'm going to say I miss my dad. I have my dad who's a strong support for me, but he's like my second dad. Thank you.
To Sudha, the two beautiful girls and the granddaughter Nandini. These are difficult times. I knew Ashok for 30 years of my stay in this hospital as well, and we knew each other through so many interactions at the social level also. And staying just across the road, I often bumped into both of you, having walks and all. And I remember Ashok very kindly saying, "There's much to learn from you, Anita," after I lost my husband. And I think that time I said also, "Ashok, you don't have a choice, you'll have to deal with the situations that you find in life." Sudha, today, when I spoke to you while you were in the ICU, I found that same strength in you. And I think your spirituality, your approach to life, the happy times you spend together are going to take you through this. I strongly believe that the grace of the Lord and the comfort of your loving family, the beautiful memories you share together are going to take you through this. So you have to find that strength, and I can see that in the daughters already. So I think you share the happy memories with them forever, and that's what's going to take you through this. We will remember him always as a great human being and a wonderful physician as well.
I'm going to stick to the happy story. I've met the family quite often during this illness, so I'll be repeating some of these stories for your colleague. I joined in '92, and Ashok maybe joined a few years earlier. And my first sort of, I knew there was a neuro patient that Dr. Ashok was going to see, and I'd taken the round, and I said, when is Dr. Ashok going to see the patient? He said, no, the person you're speaking to was Dr. Ashok, the young looking guy who I thought was a resident. That was my first introduction to Dr. Ashok, and he was very friendly. The way he spoke was not like, you know, like, do this is what I say, what do you think is happening, and so on. Of course, there's so many memories, just a few stories. One day I used, in those days I used to get 4 or 5 calls at night, and then my daughter, between my wife and me, was kicking me. And I came and said, oh God, I haven't slept all night between the calls and my daughter kicking me. He said, look here, be happy she's kicking you, one day she won't be there. And you'll long for her to be there, I remember that. Then I remember another time I told the story that he was seen by his daughters as conservative. And so one of them went out suitably dressed with her. She reached the bus stop. And he saw all this. So he called and said, look here, because that's how you want to be dressed. Then another time, one of Zari's patients, those days we couldn't get cars. We just couldn't get cars. And one of Zari's patients, who both of us were seeing, had said, I'm a Zen dealer, I'll get you all a car. We have to give a down payment. Because we didn't have the kind of down payment, especially in the area. We put them down. He said, 2 weeks you get it. 4 months that car wouldn't come, it wouldn't come. Ashok came and said, do you think he's cheating us? Do you think we'll never get the car? I said, PP, jail, yeah, sooner or later we'll get the car out of money. We were so hooked up about that car. And I mean, I had lots and lots of wonderful memories with Dr. Ashok. And it was very, you know, being an intensive care doctor, you have to work in a slightly different way with colleagues. It's not hierarchical, but it's also, it requires a lot of communication and so on. And he was very good in getting to the point, saying what he wanted and getting the job done. It really, it set a good example for the whole neuro department. Really works quite well with the ICU based on the things. The last thing I remember is, you know, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Sura Baba was also a neurology member. I was very close to him through his long illness. For some reason, I was a little hesitant to directly contact BP. I wasn't sure, you know, because BP in his own way was a private person when it came to the illness. So I was a little hesitant, should I call, should I wait, what should I do? And then one day I was talking with Dr. Mishra on the table. He said, I meet him every day, so I just, I'm biting the bullet and doing it. So I texted Sudha and said, do you think it will be okay if I speak to him? Next thing I knew, I got a call and we chatted for 30-40 minutes. And I mean, PP's not a man of lot of words. He gets to the point, but we spoke literally for 30-40 minutes, and it was really, really very nice. After that, whenever I saw him, he was not in a position to communicate, and I think, you know, the end was as good as one could hope for in these situations. And I think the family should know that the Hinduja family will always be there for you all. You'll have all my numbers, and we'll always be there. Okay.
Vasant is unfortunately not here, so I thought I'd probably represent the Department of Neurosurgery. As we all know, Vasant, Rajesh, Ashok all started at the Department of Neurosciences. It was good to join. I joined in 2000. It was around October 2000. My first thing was to go and meet Ashok. You would meet Ashok, right? If you're joining the Department of Neurosurgery, you want to go and see him and make sure that you introduce yourself to try and get some patients. That's the initial thing you want to do. So a very practical thing that he mentioned, look, I have an equation with Vasant, but that does not mean that you will not be supported. So I said, fair enough, I understand. And that's the first thing that has stuck with me, that there is a gentleman who is very practical. He knows what he's talking about, but he's not putting you off. He's telling you, you're welcome, but don't feel bad if there is some patients who are, you know, not coming to you. He said, fine, that's absolutely fine. That was one practicality. Second thing which is probably not mentioned over here is the disciplined life that he led. extremely disciplined. He was the one guy who inspired me to start waking up at 4:30 in the morning, which obviously the family knows, but he would discuss this, and he would be a real good inspiration whenever you talk to him in the coffee club. He would tell us about what he is doing as a regular thing. And for many of us who did not really have exercise as part of routine, he was someone who would really inspire. And one example of that is you need to see Sudha. Sudha is still someone who is extremely fit, and I've seen them for the last 20 years, the exercise routine, and we still bump into each other, or we used to bump into each other with Ashok, and I hope to keep bumping into Sudha every time whenever we go for exercise. We'll always be there.
Like Farhad, I'm going to share some of the happy memories and not the sad ones. I spent 15 years of my time in Hinduja with him. So one day we decided to go for our residence wedding, and he was on time and we both started from Hinduja. We reached the residence wedding, and then we realized he's still not ready and it's going to take long, and as usual, as impatient he was, he said, let's go and make the dinner and then we'll scoot, we won't wait for the lunch. We entered the groom's room where he's half made up. She said, Nitin, best of luck, this is the very important day of your life, this and that. Sir, you have lunch, you wait for lunch. Yes, we'll wait for lunch. As soon as we finished meeting him, we gave him the gift. He said, okay, now let's go. And we went out. He said, I'll treat you to a nice South Indian because I made you miss the lunch. So we went to a South Indian restaurant again, and Kamat's next to his clinic. And my God, he gave me a huge lunch and he himself ate very little. The other times I remember when I got macaroons for him and he said, this is sugar load, why did you get this for me? So he hated having too much of sugar, and that is what he was so particular about his diet. I was in Bombay Neurosciences Association and we chose him for a Lifetime Achievement Award. And we informed him that he's received the Lifetime Achievement Award of the Bombay Neurosciences Association. This award one gets when they retire. So I'm like, am I that old? Am I that age that I'm going to retire? So Sudha went to him and he said, no, this is an acknowledgement of your entire career, and that is what Dr. Mishra and I reassured him that look and listen, we are acknowledging what you've done for the Bombay Neurology. Dr. Kishore Shetty wrote such a nice analogy in our Bombay Maharashtra Association Neurologist group about him being an excellent clinician. He was quick, he was to the point, and he very rarely missed anything important. And he was so focused, and I always admired that about him. His time management and his focus, which unfortunately Udani knows that I lacked, and I really admired that about him. And I want to remember him very fondly, and I want Sudha also to remember him just the way he was, very, very, very sharp, very to the point, very time bound, and very disciplined person. So I'm definitely going to miss him.
I joined the hospital in 1993 in the ICU, and at that time we used to see our patients very diligently, and in the morning wait for all the consultants to take around. And Dr. Ashok was one person whom we really looked forward to, because he really treated us, even though we were just 2 months old in the hospital, he treated us like we were family. And the concept of family in Hinduja, I think Dr. Ashok really showed us as a living example. He would be exactly precise to the point, his diagnosis was great, but he would talk to you as a friend, even though we had a 25-30 year difference, and even career wise. And I never felt hesitant to even contact him for any patient or discuss anything. And there was almost nothing that he would not diagnose, and if there was no diagnosis, he would give an alternative. So we were very comfortable when we always had him on rounds, and we would look forward to him coming over to the ICU. He also, he started inviting me and my family for all the parties and stuff that he had. We came for the wedding of the daughter, and who would invite you when you are so junior? So he never made you feel the generation gap, he never made you feel inferior. And I not only have learned neurology from him, but I have learned how to be a good human being and spread great vibes across to everyone when he would even pass by. He would always spend time if he saw you to stand and spend some time and ask how are you. When I had joined, he said that Kushal, I don't know why he had this concept that he said, Kushal, I'll work 15, 17 years more and I'm going to retire before 60. I don't want to work too much, I want to enjoy life. But I think when he turned 60, he wanted to work till 90 and so on and so forth. But having said that, the doctor within us is never going to die. We will always want to keep working. And I think we've learnt a lot from Dr. Ashok, and he's going to be with us, and we'll miss him very dearly, and apologies.
Take too much of your time, but I just wanted to, the parking lot photograph reminded me of something what Dr. Ashok told me once, that when he came in from abroad, he had no one in Mumbai, and then he had Bombay, Tangible Bombay. So he had gone to his uncle's place, and while they were going to see his new, the uncle said, "Let come, show me your new place and what a new place." They passed through this building, near this building. He said, "Why don't you drop and apply?" Thank God that time during the 1980s parking was easily available. The car got parked, he entered the hospital, met the consultant, and on the spot he decided to join this place. He went further north and went to Lokhandwala and found flat next to what his uncle was and bought that place. So the first thing was P stands for practical. He was very practical and on the spot he made this decision. And the second P stands for his principles. Now, very principle. You would like to distinguish between patients, etc. And that's the reason why when some people from the film industry try to belittle him in his movies, what he has actually done is that his principle have been put on cellulite permanently. So whenever you see that name, remember that name came because he was principled. So P stands for practical and principle. A very difficult thing to achieve, but he achieved those two combinations. My tributes.
I stand here on behalf of our whole Hinduja hospital parivar, and words cannot express our sorrow, which again cannot be compared to the sorrow, Sudhaji, which you and your children are feeling. But believe you me, I think by the soul we all are a part of your family. And I just wish to say that we'll never forget his wonderful smile, his sincerity and dedication to his patients and vocation, and the love that he has radiated, as you, I think we all feel the same here. He was radiating sincerity, he was radiating love, he was radiating empathy, and definitely the Lord is going to give you the strength. He has to, because if I remember right, Bibiji was a very spiritual man, and Lord Krishna is definitely going to reside with him, all of us. I'm sure that this hospital and all of us. Thank you.
Have been very difficult for me and my family, and I can see that it's been quite difficult for everyone in this room as well. I think one of the beautiful things about loss is that all of us in this room find solace in the fact that we're all going through this together. Grief is just unexpressed love, and I know for a fact that my Tata would be incredibly proud to be part of the Hinduja Hinduja family and what it's done for him and what it's done for us. I like to remember my Tata as someone who absolutely adored life, even when it challenged him. And that's something that I'll keep with me forever. That's something that all his grandkids, his kids, and his siblings and his wife will keep. So, Tata, I look forward to making you proud. I know you're there, just in a different way. And thank you everyone for organizing this event. Thank you. Very difficult for me and my family, and I can see that it's been quite difficult for everyone in this room as well. I think one of the beautiful things about loss is that all of us in this room find solace in the fact that we're all going through this together. Grief is just unexpressed love, and I know for a fact that my Tata would be incredibly proud to be part of the Hinduja family and what it's done for him and what it's done for us. I like to remember my Tata as someone who absolutely adored life, even when it challenged him. And that's something that I'll keep with me forever. That's something that all his grandkids, his kids, and his siblings and his wife will keep. So, Tata, I look forward to making you proud. I know you're there, just in a different way. And thank you everyone for organizing this event.
कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं,
कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं,
हम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं,
हम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं,
हम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं।